get us going.
Okay.
So I'll go live on Facebook first.
All right. I'm unsure of what we're going to go through on Marty Miller's
Documents as it relates to opportunities.
documents as it relates to opportunities. So we're diving in pretty deep. We're going to talk about adding, I'm pretty sure he's going to talk about adding documents into the opportunity. He may go over checklist items briefly. Everyone, I'm sure if you put in a deal into the office, you've gone through opportunities. A lot of people don't use opportunities until they have a deal, and then all of a sudden opportunities kind of blows their mind. So it makes sense to get in there and put some of your people in opportunities so that when they go under contract, you're kind of ready to go. Does anybody have questions or had heartache around opportunities or need more information on that piece? That's why you're here, I'm sure.
Mine's about DocuSign rooms.
Okay. What's your problem with, or what's your opportunity with DocuSign rooms?
Well, I actually wrote a contract for a buyer, but he keeps telling me that he never got it. And it looked like it was ready to go on my end. I don't know.
So when you created the the document, did you send it to him or just put it into opportunities? Because opportunities is really, unless you start using the client update piece, it won't send the document. You'll have to send that and get signatures on its own. Where was the issue?
I set up the document in a DocuSign room
Oh,
and
got it.
set it up for his signature and sent it.
Yeah.
And he's claiming he never got it. So I don't know.
Well, we could possibly take that offline and take a look at it. We might be able to resend it to him.
Oh, I
So-
did that too.
And he still said he didn't get it, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if he's,
Super computer savvy.
yeah.
Yeah, you might have him, sometimes that stuff, if they've seen things, advertisements and stuff from DocuSign in the past, they may have marked it as junk and it may not come to his regular inbox. He may have to go through his spam folder and take a look just to see if maybe he's marked it as spam at some point, right?
That could be. I could check on that angle. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Really quick, Lucy, check your email. Terry, check your email. And Marcus, check your email. You should have a bingo link. And then Ronnie, Teresa, and Crystal, I'll be with you shortly. So I'm almost done. Ronnie, I'm sending yours now, so keep a lookout.
Check your spam email just in case. I'm kidding, of course. Hey, another thing, just a kind of a tech note that came down the pipe the other day. If you guys have gone into your KW app, make sure you go to the App Store and check to see if there's an update. The current version, I think, is 6.3.6. And with that update, one of the things that's coming down, let's say you draw an area around, well, for me, it's Kihei Villages, right? And I save that search. When you save the search, there's also a piece in there that says, I want to be notified if anything happens in that search. So very similar to listing alerts, you'll be getting a notification in email that says, hey, there's something new going on in this area. You might want to take a look. So, and that is client facing. They can set that up. I think you might be able to set up one for them, but you'll have to teach them how to fish as well. So
really quick, sorry to interrupt. Teresa, can you give me your email address? I don't have it.
Do you want me to type it or just give it to you?
Just give it to me because I'm typing it in right now.
It's short, SHORT Teresa, THERESA @gmail.com.
All right, let me know if you get it. You should have it. Ronnie, you should have yours. And then I'm going to give agent services one, and then we're good. So
On the bingo link, all it is, Latasha, is just your signature card that I can see. I don't see anything else.
Hold on.
I see the card.
You see the
Good
card?
morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
I-
morning,
I-
Lucy.
Right
How are
above her
you?
signature block, it's a small link.
Hey, Robert, I'm not sure how to update my app. Now that you just talked about, there's always something to do.
Always something to do. So
Always.
are you an Android or are you a iPhone?
I'm Android.
So Android, you go to the Play Store. So the
I-
Google Play Store, and you'll look for the KW app there. And then I'm not sure of the update functionality there, but I'm because I'm an iPhone. You would probably select it there and just download the new version. They probably have some kind of an update function there as well. Make sure you select the right KW ones so you don't want to download KW videos or something like that, right?
All right. Well, what I meant is it will be changed from my website, whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever is on my website means it will need to be changed. Or will that change automatically?
It'll change automatically. If you've already set up
good.
the app, all you're doing is bringing down nuts and bolts on the back end. Your profile and your agent profile should still remain there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
Does everyone have their bingo? And then we're going to get started.
Yes, I did
Ronnie?
see. And Robert, on the Cater, excuse me, Cater app, it will automatically update if we have the app, correct?
If you're, at least for me on the iPhone, I know it does automatically update. Some older versions don't, so I would go and check. But you know, down where it says more when you're in the app,
Yeah.
if you scroll down to the bottom of that more section, it'll tell you the current version. And you want it to be, I think they're synced up now, so I think it's 6.3.6.
Okay, I think mine did. I have an Android and I have sent it out to people, so I don't want to have to, hopefully it updates for them as well. If my Android updates and your iPhone updates, then I guess we can assume everybody updates then.
Yeah, it really depends on the phone setting itself, if people choose or not choose to do automatic updates. A lot of people do, so it's no different than any other app they have on their phone, right?
Okay, thanks.
Robert, I have a quick question. Is my version is 6.3.5?
Okay.
And when I went onto the Play Store, that was the newest version on the Play Store as well, and I'm Android.
Okay, so what does happen in timing of a rollout, usually, at least in the past, the iPhone has gotten it a little bit quicker, a day or two, before the Android gets theirs there. So
Okay.
keep an eye out for 6.3.6.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say in general, piggybacking on that, Robert and I were going through that. That's why he was suggesting that as a tip. It's always good to just double check that because I have an iPhone and it didn't automatically update for me. So I had to go in and say, okay, Robert, what's your version? And we had to kind of do some back channeling to make sure, because I had some issues searching searching a property over the weekend. So just the FYI, you always want to double check just to make sure.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so let's get started. We're going to do start bingo. Hopefully everyone has their card. Once you get the link, you're going to click on the link. It'll come up with BYOCC. You'll see documents, Marty Miller, leads, contacts, and a free space. We're going to do our first call today. So is everybody ready?
Wait, okay.
Let me know.
Oh, shoot.
We're having a Monday on a Tuesday.
All right.
Nobody's excited but me, I guess.
Oh, okay, I see.
Are we ready?
Ready.
Yes, I'm ready.
All
Ready.
right. All righty. The first one is opportunity. So all you have to do is click on opportunity if you see it. All right. So the first series we're going to do, this is going to be Marty Miller, session number 23. So for those of you that are newly joining us, we will look at the video together. After the video, Robert and I will share a few tips and then we'll take questions. But the first video that we're going to take a look at together is selecting a document checklist and reviewing placeholders. So here we go. I do have And
Day 23. So we've been speaking previously about
everybody
document
see my
management and
screen?
how to get your documents into a DocuSign. We're going to continue that trend today with how to start building compliance out in Command. So how do you start bringing your documents into Command in order to submit for review? So the first thing that we need to do is click on our Opportunities applet and then pull.
Oh, no.
Just my internet.
Oh.
Let's do this.
Pull up the opportunity that we want to manage documents for. So today we're going to talk about checklists. So first thing we need to do is get into our actual opportunity here and choose our Documents tab. So the first process in submitting for compliance review is to choose the correct checklist type that applies to your transaction. Now, these checklists, as you click on this drop-down box, these may be different, and they most likely will be different based upon your market center, your compliance team, your broker. Each market center has the ability to build out their own kind of series of custom checklists. So you can see at our market center, we have one checklist that has all of our forms, and then we've got sales contract residential for pre-owned or farm and ranch properties. We've got a sales contract for a residential lot, a sales contract for new construction using the builder forms, a sales contract for new construction using truck forms, and then a lease residential. So essentially, we're going to do the sales contract residential pre-owned. This is the lion's share of the work that I do, at least on the buyer side. So you can see as soon as I choose this checklist, I have 3 folders that open up below. So each one of these is considered a folder. So I've got a consultation folder, an under contract folder, and a closed folder. So you can see right now the consultation folder doesn't have any checklist items in it, but it's available for me to add items to it. So maybe I have a buyer consultation form or any of those kind of documents as well. I could easily load my IABS. If I'd had my buyer's representation agreement signed during this time, I can bring all of those documents in. Now, none of those are required during this stage, although the IABS is required. However, it's not until we get under contract that we start having these documents be required for compliance sake. So you can see now that I've selected the under contract folder, my checklist starts having items populated into it. And so you can see that you have a status column, basically says, okay, what's the status of any file that you have uploaded? Obviously nothing's been uploaded yet. You've got the document, so it's got the document title, and then whether it's optional, required, or conditionally required. Next, you've got the type, so you can see the type of disclosure. And then finally, you've got the add a file button. Tomorrow, we're gonna work on adding files and showing you how to do that. But for today, I just wanted to show you what the checklist folders look like and what the checklists themselves actually look like. So you can see it says 0 of 16 documents uploaded. There are 16 document placeholders on this list. You can see 12 of those are required. The last 3 are conditionally required if, right, and then our market center put this in, if they're financing, if they're in a MUD district, which is something we have here in Texas, and then conditionally required if there is actually an HOA. Also, you can see we have a checklist that is optional for use for our market center as well. So tomorrow what we're going to work on is teaching you guys how to actually load the documents into each one of these placeholders. But for right now, you can see that once we go under contract, then even when we get closed on this buyer transaction, there's a new checklist that we want to make sure get brought in as well. So my MCA requires that we have our closing disclosure and DA uploaded. And then optional, we can have copy of the checks or the buyer walkthrough loaded in as well. Finally, you do have what's called custom folders here on the left-hand side. And so I could add a custom folder for whatever documents I wanted to have in that might not fit into one of these categories or checklist items. So that's it for today, guys. Basically, the documents and checklists, how to select one of those checklists, and then a review of what the checklists actually have. Again, tomorrow we'll start adding files, and then we can submit for review from there. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Monday, and as always, I'll look forward to speaking with you in the morning. Thanks so much.
All right. So recapping in general, just about checklists, how many of you are utilizing checklists on a consistent basis? Meaning, as soon as you update or add a contact, you're monitoring them through the document process in terms of your checkpoints, of your periodic, your onboarding, if you will, of your client. Carrie? Awesome. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, it's an easy way to keep track of everything that's going on in the deal, and you don't have to send it to the MCA right away, and they prefer, I think, most if you don't, but it's a good tick and tie to make sure you've got it done. I noticed in one of our deals, one of the documents got uploaded without signatures, so we have to go back and find the one with signatures, but we hadn't sent it to the MCA yet, so we've got time to adjust that. And you can delete a document and then re-add the one with signatures.
So I have a question on that. How he showed that there was the choices of basically residential or new development or commercial. We don't have that choice in ours, do we?
We do not. So because of the flexibility of command, Marty's actually in another part of the U.S. So some of the acronyms that he uses don't really apply to us as well.
Okay.
But it has to do with the way our market center is structured right now. So, as soon as we get to a point where we could bucket those items or enough agents ask for those certain things, then I think, yeah, we could move forward with that. But right now it's kind of just an open format kind of deal, right?
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the direction that we want to move into from a tech perspective, is to be able to put them in buckets. But for right now, we just have a running list, if you will, of all the documents. But eventually we would like to create buckets to make it a little more succinct, and then troubleshoot for you as the agent in terms of being a little more user friendly and at your fingertips, as opposed to filing through every single option. For those of you that are not utilizing the checklist, what's the one thing that's stopping you?
I honestly.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
This is Teresa. I used the checklist for a transaction I had and used it all the way through for that, but I'm not using it for putting in my potential clients.
Did you see the validity of doing that, or do you have any questions about why their suggestion was? You don't have to do it. It's just a suggestion to track and monitor the process. But any pros and cons that you see?
Some of the cons in using the checklist was that it didn't fit. It was, of course, my first transaction, my only transaction so far with Keller Williams, because I'm still a relatively new agent.
The first of many, Teresa. Let me correct you on that, but keep going.
Okay, so the checklist itself, by the time I got to the end, it was a little bit difficult because I had not completed Ignite, which I just signed up to redo. Anyway, so it wasn't the checklist itself, it was my inability to have went through all the training and was kind of teaching myself as I went along, if that makes sense.
Yeah, opportunities can be a bit of a bugger for somebody who is, either from another company, even a mega agent. That whole concept of a checklist and the opportunities, and that can kind of be overwhelming for somebody right at first. But the more you use it, the more you do get used to it. Just keep at it.
And really quickly, I'll jump to this, and then we'll take any more additional comments and then go into the next video. This is leading up to Thursday's class. Thursday's class is actually going to be special, where we're actually going to take a deeper dive and actually share some tips and tricks as it relates to from contact to opportunities, and being able to utilize those checklists more to help everyone in terms of managing that process. So that'll be Thursday's class. So it's going to be definitely more custom to you and unique. So I just want to give a heads up to everyone on that. Are there any other comments or questions? I see that Karen Olson just joined us. Morgan just joined us, and Don Harris. Any comments or questions before we go to the next video?
I have a question.
Yes, Marcus.
I just want to be clear. We're talking about, when we say the checklist, we're talking about in opportunities, correct?
Yes, that is correct, Marcus.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I wasn't really seeing what he had in the video just now on my screen. So I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, at that point in time, he didn't have anything other than just the list itself. So the next series or the next video that we're going to watch, he's going to show us how to do the uploading so we can actually see the documents. But he was just showing us in terms of his market center, what he has access to in the buckets that they've created for their agents.
I see. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Great question. All right, so here we go. And then the people that just joined us, Karen Olson, Morgan, Don Harris, I will be sending you while we're watching this a video, or excuse me, a link to bingo, and then we'll do the next round of bingo after this recording.
Opportunities has already been, so if you get a card, make sure you mark off the opportunities piece, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so let me share my screen again. And move this down. And 24 is our next one.
Good grammar and spelling.
So this is adding documents to an opportunity for compliance
essays that
review.
inspire.
Good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge 4.0, and today is day 24. So yesterday we talked about document management within opportunities, so we're going to dive back into that opportunity and talk about how to load
Can everyone see that?
into our placeholders for compliance.
Yes.
So we are in our Cultivate Buyer Pipeline. Let's go ahead and click on the opportunity name, and then we'll click on the Documents tab. And yesterday we selected this checklist, which is one of the checklists that I have available in my Keller Williams Command account. Each of us are going to have different checklists depending on how our market centers built these out. But this is the one that I've selected. Let's say that is a new, let's say not a brand new house, but it's a new buyer contract. For me, we're going under contract and it's now time to start loading in documents. So first I need to select the folder and make sure I'm in the right folder, right, with the documents that need to be uploaded. And then from there I have a couple of different options. So I can bring them in one by clicking on Add a File, or I can bring them in multiple documents at once by clicking on Attach Multiple Files. This is definitely what I would recommend most use cases unless you're literally just adding in one document. I'm going to click on Attach Multiple Files, and you'll see I get this pop-up that shows up, and basically on the left-hand side it shows me all of the document placeholder names. In the middle I can see what type of document that should be, and then on the right you can see drag and drop or browse your files. Now that's because I have it set to manual, which means that I could click here and then it would open my actual hard drive, or my Google Drive in this case for me, and I could go through and find my buyers and then start bringing in documents from there. Or, since I connected this opportunity to DocuSign, I could click on the DocuSign radio button here, and then what it's going to do is it's going to bring all these drop downs in. And so if I was looking for the broker notice to buyer tenant, I would come through and say, okay, let me find broker notice to buyer tenant. Here it is. No, that's not it. Let's just do buyer representation agreement, and here is the buyer representation agreement. And contract fully executed, great, let me go fill that. Find that, here it is, 1 to 4 family residential, and so on and so forth. So basically I would just look at the document title, click on the drop down box, find that document from, and all of these documents are being pulled in from your DocuSign room that we created previously from the documents that were brought into that room, which happened in a previous challenge. So once we've gone through and pulled in as many of the document placeholders as we can, we would just click on Attach. And then you're going to see on the right-hand side now, these documents have now been attached to these placeholders. If for any reason these were the wrong documents, I can click on the 3 little dots and then just click on Remove. I'll say, are you sure? And I'll say, yes, I attached the wrong one. I could go back in just to that one placeholder, just to show you the other way, click on DocuSign, and then it'll show me here are all the documents that are in this folder. And I could say, yep, this is the one I want to assign, and boom, there you go. So that's how you fill in your documents for your placeholder. Once you've gone through and filled in all of the required documents that your compliance broker is going to ask you to have before submitting, then you can come back up to the top and click on Submit to MC. At that point, you've now sent in a compliance request to your compliance officer, who can see that request within Command MC and will then read through when they have the time to check all your documents, and then they're either going to approve or return that request, and they'll typically have notes. So that's essentially how you're going to get your documents into your command opportunity for submitting to your market center. Now realize you can bring those in from DocuSign. If you're still using .loop and you connect it to .loop, you would have a .loop button up here. If you're just bringing them in and scanning them into your hard drive, obviously then you can just do the manual method and find them on your hard drive. You can also load documents into your custom folders, one thing I didn't mention. So here's where I could load custom folders. So it might be that I'm going to add custom folders with floor plans and additional docs, right? And so that might be documents that don't necessarily go on any of these placeholders per se, but I want to keep them in there. And I could also come down and say I want to add an item. I just want to have the floor plan available for me to reference in the future in my document placeholders there. And so this would just be, let's scroll down all the way. This would be other, and then I could manually go find the floor plan document from somewhere within my command, or my computer, excuse me. And I could click on save, and that would then add a placeholder to the very bottom of the list for that custom document. So that's how we manage documents within KW Command, the Documents tab of our opportunities. As always, it's great talking to you guys, and I will look forward to speaking with you again tomorrow. Thanks so much.
All right. Hey, I do have one real quick note on this. If you guys are utilizing a transaction coordinator, they're going to be the heavy users of this piece of it. They'll be doing that piece of it for you in most cases. If you're doing it yourself, then there are multiple ways you can do it, multiple documents or single document at a time. I don't know many agents that run, Don may run more than one by themselves at a time, but it starts to get pretty hairy. So a TC is not a bad way to go, just letting you know.
Yeah, we actually use a TC except for our personal purchases. So when we buy properties, we'll do it ourselves.
Yeah, I can imagine if it's 2 or 3 deals going at a time, it's gonna, you don't have time to do anything else other than upload documents and check signatures and run paper, right?
It really isn't that bad, honestly.
Yeah.
So we've done one, I've completed one by myself, and then we're working on another one by ourselves, and it's really pretty fast, to be honest. After you kind of learn how to upload one, it's really pretty quick.
Yeah. I can't imagine how it was prior to Command. I don't know if it would have been easier or more complex.
I don't know either. When we were in Houston, we did all of our transactions. We didn't use a transaction coordinator at all. And that was with the .loop system. And it was kind of like this. I mean, it's really pretty simple. You just have your document somewhere. You opened up .loop, just like you open up the DocuSign room or whatever it's called. And then you just pulled it in. So it was really fairly easy. Now, I don't know if that's how it was on Maui, because we didn't have .loop
Right,
on Maui.
I was in Virginia and we used .loop, and it was very similar in a way.
Yeah.
as this is.
Yep.
Cool.
Any other comments or questions about the video? Yes, Lucy, go ahead.
I was able to follow the video and click on my other laptop to follow, but I couldn't see a place where DocuSign was for me. Maybe because I haven't upload that yet, or
You might have some settings that need to have you set up DocuSign to to your command settings piece. So reach out to us after the class and we'll check and make sure everything's okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions before we do another bingo opportunity and go into the next video? Morgan, can you, oh, go ahead, Marcus, go ahead.
With the stuff we were just watching, that very much pertains to our new, we have a new, I forget what the position is called, but compliance
coordinator or compliance?
Yes. Basically, we now, if we don't use the TC, we have to have, it's once we're under contract, we have to have all of everything in the under contract, the 29, whatever of the documents that pertain to your deal, we have to have those in within, what's the time frame now?
Well, certain portions of it, you know, Green Sheet has a different timeline. That's within 48 to 72 hours. They want the, you know, Green Sheet kind of stuff done. So what I would recommend that you do is talk to your broker, whoever your BIC is, and find out from them, because it may, the office has certain policies, but the BIC will be more aware of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Great question. Anyone else? Morgan, can you give me your email address? I sent a message. Can you verbally give it to me? You there? Morgan, you there?
Hello. Yes,
Hi.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So it's my name, Morgent, 43 @gmail.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so let's do another round of bingo. And we are going to, I need to share my screen. For those of you, Karen, Olson, Don, and Morgan, have you received an email from me? It should say bingo link. If you could let me know.
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna see a link, click on that link. When you click on the link, you should see a card that says BYOCC and then an actual bingo card. And so the first thing you want to do is, the first call number that we had was opportunity. So all you need to do with your mouse is just click on opportunity. All right, everyone else ready for the next one? Click on Marty Miller. So click on Marty Miller. All right, so we're gonna hopefully have a bingo soon, and we're gonna go into the next one. Whoops, sorry. The next one is going to be starting a new set of documents in an opportunity. So give me a minute, that's gonna be 25.
If you want to scale your real estate business, cold calling and door knocking is not the best way to go. Sorry to break it to you.
Good morning, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge 4.0, Day 25. So recently we've been working through opportunities and document management, and I wanted to show you today, I have a lot of questions that come to me and then I see on Facebook and other places where you have a buyer and a deal bust out, or a seller and a deal bust out. And am I supposed to archive or lost the opportunity and start over? I wanted to show you today a way that you actually don't have to archive or start over your opportunity. So we're going to click on the opportunities applet, here the handshake. We're going to go into the applet, the opportunity we've been using. And so we're going to click on that opportunity. We're going to come over to the Documents tab as we have the last few days, and you'll see we've got our 3 folders that were created when we chose this checklist. When we choose the Under Contract folder, you can see here are all the document placeholders. We loaded a couple of documents over the last couple of days as examples. Now, this is our version 1, if you will, of this set of documents. Now, let's say the buyer put in the offer, it got accepted, we got through inspection, something came up, and we're busting the deal. It is still the same buyer, right? So now we need to put in another offer with another set of documents. So in order to do that and keep the opportunity open, essentially you're just going to click on this little arrow. My friend Kelly Finnegan calls it the carrot, right? Next to Under Contract, there's an arrow down here, and you can click on it and then click on Add Version. And so in this one, you would change the version's name, and maybe the first one was 123 Main Street. This is 123 Elm Street. We're going to click on Create New Version. And now you can see we have a clean slate, right? A checklist of placeholders that are not filled in any way, shape, or form. And so we now have a new custom folder. We've got, right, all of our stuff is set up so that we can now go back in and load in these documents. Now, know that we're still connected to the same room or loop. So if you were creating a new room or loop, obviously that might create an issue. But if you were still going to use the same room, because the majority of those buyer documents may hold true, now we're just doing contract documents. So that's basically a way. Now double check with your market center. I do know some market centers have preferences, especially their compliance coordinators, on how they like to see this. But typically, we would not want to archive or mark an opportunity as lost when you're still working with that same buyer, because that's going to impact your conversion ratio numbers in your report section as well. So that's it for today, day 25, how we create additional versions. So here was version 1 called Under Contract. Here's version 2. If it's a really hot market and we bust out again, we could add a 3rd version, right? So you can see there's V3, and we could have another set of checklist documents. That's it for today, guys. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Wednesday. And as always, I will look forward to speaking with you tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Alrighty. So that was one example of how to do it. For the agents that are using this, using command with the opportunities and the checklist, have you been doing that, or what have you been doing in the past? And then I have another follow-up question as it relates to compliance, the new compliance manager role. So how are people doing that currently? Ronnie, have you had a situation where you've encountered that, and how are you doing it?
No, not yet.
Okay. Anyone else? Don, have you run into that, and how have you dealt with it in the past?
Could you restate the question? I'm working on 2 other things as we're doing this.
Sorry. So as it relates to having a new opportunity and not necessarily archiving a deal, but basically adding a version, it may not have been to that specification, but maybe how did you in times past revise that situation where you had another opportunity with the same buyer and or lister? How did you kind of manage that without essentially starting over from zero?
I started over from zero.
Got it. Okay.
I don't like having things mixed up.
Gotcha.
So I personally just prefer to have 2 separate files, or a separate file for each property.
Gotcha.
Just cleaner for me.
Makes total sense. That's why I was asking, to see what people are doing and what works best. Robert, how are you handling that, or how have you handled that? Essentially same as
Well,
Don?
I'm thinking back to Fred Flintstone, when doing some of these trainings. Betty Rubble and Barney Miller and Fred Flintstone were all buying and selling houses. And, if you're representing the buyer and the seller, you really should be running 2 opportunities, one for the buyer and one for the seller. Keep them separate and just run them both parallel. I mean, that's the way that you're going to have to kind of enter the deals anyway. So it makes sense. The documents could be the same, and, you have to work with your BIC to make sure that, certain documents may be duplicated between deals. But like Dawn, I like to keep things very separate. I don't like my carrots touching my peas, right? So it's just
TMI, Robert, TMI.
And
Yeah. Yeah, I like buckets of separate items, right? So yeah.
Ronnie, what'd you say? I missed that. What'd you say?
I used to be a very separate eater, Robert, and I would turn my plate to each item and eat that next.
Yeah, I'm not so much that bad. It's just the document stuff. I go a little crazy if this is supposed to be in two places. I'd rather have a buyer side one and a seller side one, and just fill it out. It doesn't take that long to do. I'm not that crazy busy. I'm just that crazy anal when it comes to the data. Yeah.
So I do have another follow-up question, and this is with our new compliance procedures and our coordinator. And so the question that I have is, in preparation for our class on Thursday, I'm going to reach out to Craig and ask him like any, overall words of wisdom, anything that he can share with us. For those of you that are in the process of a deal, or in the final stages of getting up to that point, or even just in general, what questions and or clarifications do you have for the compliance coordinator as it relates to Craig Carter? Because I will be following up with him prior to the class on Thursday. So are there any compliance related questions that you want me to ask to be able to bring back on Thursday?
It'd be great to host him as a guest, but I have a feeling he's pretty busy.
Yeah, I'm going to ask, but I don't know that. But in lieu of that, to have some, his top 5, his top 3, or whatever that is. But are there any specific questions from a compliance perspective? Anything that needs to be clarified?
Like we were just talking about in the like I was asking in the last question, just how much has to be in the what documents specifically have to be in at what time, as far as obviously the timeline will tell us with some of it, but from the moment we start escrow, what do we have to have in and how soon?
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone else? None?
I think maybe to go on with what Marcus said, if he could provide us with maybe some kind of a printed document or a list that says, the timing of these items, for maybe we could do for residential and we could do for condo, maybe that would be a basic timeline. That would be nice. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so if there is anything else, you think of anything, we're going to go into another video, and then we're going to wrap up for today. If you have any questions that you want me to specifically ask the compliance coordinator, please put them in the chat. If you run into or have any other questions after this next video. The next one we're going to do is called Document Discussions and Opportunities. And this is 26.
Turning your app into a business can seem like a daunting task.
Good afternoon, Keller Williams, and welcome back to the KW Command 66-Day Challenge 4.0, Day 27. Continuing the trend of videos around opportunities, today I want to talk to you about folder-level messaging. What that is the ability for you to message your compliance coordinator, your MCA, people on your leadership team within your market center when it comes to compliance or commission requests in command. So
sorry, this internet is like,
we're going to dive into an opportunity here. I'm actually going to show you some discussions that have been had on one of my it's a real life opportunity, but we did some test messaging earlier. So I'm diving into the actual opportunity itself. I'm going to click on the Documents tab within that opportunity. First of all, you're going to see that I submitted a document previously, and that status originally said submitted, and now the document actually says approved. So one thing to note there, you can see the status of the document. However, this folder now has a status of returned. And you can see right here on the right-hand side of this status is a little quote bubble, if you will. And when you click on that, it's going to open a window where you can see messages that have been sent to you by your leadership team, whether that's the compliance coordinator, MCA, broker, whoever's kind of reviewing these documents, and you can also send messages to them. So here are some of the messages that we were going back and forth with, and I was actually testing this both on my account and then on my wife's account, who is on my team. So interestingly enough, and which is pretty cool, if you have a team member assigned to an opportunity, both the person that created the opportunity and the team member will receive a message if it is sent from within that opportunity. So for example, David is my MCA. He basically rejected this because it was kind of a test submission and said, hey, we're not going to start doing command until August 1st. So we will be doing command compliance starting August 1st. So they were going through and basically clearing out all of the previously submitted compliance requests. And so I said, actually, from my wife's account, got it, thanks. Also, interestingly enough, Nicole had this message show in her account as well. So in order to make sure that the alert actually shows up in the leadership team member's account, you do have to hit the @ symbol. So right above the number 2, click on the @ symbol, and then you can see that I can communicate with anyone that has been assigned to this opportunity, so in this case, my wife, or then anyone else on the leadership team. And so if I were just to put Dave, so Marilyn is our compliance coordinator, I could say @ Marilyn O'Neill, this is a test message, just want to be sure you received it. So I could send that off to my compliance coordinator. I could also come in, just so I can show you, I'm going to go ahead and put it in as Nicole. So I'm going to send a message to Nicole. Want to be sure you got this, right? So we're communicating about the documents, about any notification, and you'll see that now when I log out of my account, I'm going to log into my wife's account, and you'll be able to see that she should now have a bell icon. There it is. Her bell is lit up. And it can say Marty Miller has left a message for this opportunity. You can actually see the message right here. Want to be sure you got this. And then she could click on it. It would actually open the opportunity to the folder that we were discussing, and then she can see all of the message history as well. So that's how in compliance, or actually in the Documents tab, you have discussions with both the members of your team that have been assigned to the opportunity. So that might be your compliance coordinator, your contract to close coordinator, your VA, your marketing director, the rainmaker, the buyer's agent, the listing agent, any of those people. And then also your leadership team as well. So typically it would be your compliance coordinator or broker that you're having @ mentions with in the file. So that's it for today, guys. Pretty short and sweet. Day 26, how to have a compliance discussion within KW Command opportunities. Hope everyone's having a great and fantastic Thursday, and as always, I will look forward to speaking with you tomorrow. Thanks so much.
Thank you. So I want to have Robert do something for us, but in the meantime, are there any questions and or comments or clarifying questions or comments? That one was pretty straightforward, but I don't know if, no? Okay. Robert, could you do me a favor? I want to just recap. I know many of the agents may not necessarily have a team, but I felt like it would be a good opportunity just to have you go in, since you are on a team, to just kind of go over where and opportunities you assign that team member. So I'm going to give you permission to co-host. Sorry, I didn't do that earlier.
No worries.
And if you could share your screen and just kind of walk them through that, so they just can have a context, and then we'll take any final questions and we'll wrap it up for today.
So this is probably due to change. I think I'm okay to say this, but there's been some heavy focus in labs on teams. and be ready for teams to be having a different look to them pretty soon. So I'm not saying any more than that, but mega camp. So selecting a team up here, you can select Island Key. So if I select Island Key's team, it doesn't seem to change anything, but when I go into opportunities, you can see all opportunities loading the pipeline, all opportunities. You notice I get an Island Key team up here, right? So the other place that I think is of note is in settings. As a team member or rainmaker on a team, you'll have command settings, and then you'll have, oh, I'm sorry, where is it? It's under general settings, team management. So all teams get to set up their admin, their listing specialist, their rainmaker, right? So these are, you can add a team member here. This will send a note to your MCA. So there is a time turnaround on some of this stuff where she gets the right. The MCA is the pretty much the key holder for the organization. If for some reason she doesn't like your selection, she can turn it down, and that's probably after discussion. She just is not wielding her authority, right? So the other place is, let me see here. Lead routing is one. Team stats and routes. So if leads come in on Facebook, how do you want to route them across the team? Do you want it to be jump ball? Everybody gets a chance at it, first one at it gets it? Or do you want it to be round robin? So I think the ones that are in here are different types of how you hand off leads to people. The other one is called weighted. So if I give one team member a heavier weight, they will get the lead before somebody who has a less weighted type deal. So I don't know if that's of any interest to you, but the one, you can get into team stat pages. You can get into, I'm trying to find one in here that I'm not seeing, opportunity settings, team permissions. So in team permissions under opportunities, it depends on how the team is structured, but here you can allow private agent pipelines. So if you're on a team and you have an agent who maybe works in another market center, there's a whole bunch of different scenarios where this would play out. You can allow them to create you can allow team members to create opportunities in a private timeline, opportunity timeline. Or the way we have it set up is on the team, no team member, rainmaker or team member can create a private opportunity. It has to be created within the team boundaries. That it seems to work for us. Or you can go down here and select agents, and you can select the different kinds of permissions that are there. Permissions are what's being worked on in what's going to be announced coming up, I believe. So keep your eye out for that. Some of this will probably have some training around it if you're a team. If you're a solo agent, this really doesn't apply, but you will have to think about, if and when you join a team, how all of this stuff plays. And that'll be a discussion you'll have with your rainmaker.
Can I say two things to piggyback on that? The one thing that I will say is as you continue to migrate through your real estate career, you may, go back into the admin piece of it. You will need to add someone if you're going to hire a TC just to be able to do your transactions. And then we had a situation with a group where we had to double check not only their permissions, so we had to make sure that within the team permissions that Robert has, that it was not only selected as yes or no, depending on what the rainmaker, what their agreement was, but then we also had to make sure that when the TC was going in and creating opportunities, because they had one TC uploading or adding opportunities, we also had to make sure that the opportunities that were being entered were also the drop down menu in terms of making sure that it was also assigned to, an agent, so they could also, if they're working on the deal with a rainmaker, making sure that they also had privy to the opportunities. So it's a two-pronged process. And then I'll stop talking, but Robert, you can jump in. I just
Yeah,
wanted
if
to
you're
clarify.
if you're on a team, I think the instance that we had was they probably had checked this button, yes, up here, all team members can create private opportunities, and they create their opportunities just like they should as a solo agent, right? And it goes through, but the team members can't see them because they're private at that point. They're private opportunities. So you probably would have to go back then and at least assign individuals to that view, or have the Rainmaker go in, or somebody with Rainmaker authority go in and say, no team members can create private opportunities. Keep it in the team. That way everybody can work on it, you know?
So any comments or questions? I felt like that would be valid just to go over, even if you're just eventually bringing on an admin person, you would definitely want to go in to add teams, and then just making sure that, you know, in each category, they have the opportunity, or excuse me, each opportunity they can see that, because otherwise if you don't add them or assign them, they cannot see that.
And the other thing that I was going to note here is there are, in the Keller Williams ecosphere, there are single agent teams. So if you are listed as a single agent team, you're allowed to have the admin in. I don't know if that part's going to change, but let's say you want to add a TC into your organization in command, I believe you have to be a single agent team to do this. So just keep that in mind. If you're going to use a TC, just talk to your MCA or Shelby. Yeah. Talk to Shelby and see how that's taken care of. So.
Any other comments or questions? All right, so let's wrap up. Let's do one final bingo. Hopefully we can get a winner today. I see Ronnie. Ready.
Ronnie's getting excited. I can see the smile happening.
All righty, so is everybody there? Okay, next call. Leads.
Bingo!
Who got bingo?
Terry.
Woo-hoo! Yay, Terry. Okay, awesome.
Bravo.
Please tell Terry what she's won. Terry, you have won
A brand new car.
gift card. In your dreams, so I can get a toy one. I'll have it ready at the office and you can pick it up. Thanks everyone for joining us. Definitely on Thursday, we look forward to seeing you. Thursday is going to be a different class where we're going to talk about contact to opportunities, do a deep dive into our market center as it relates to our checklist. And any questions that you have about the checklist, that would be a great class for you to attend. And then I will follow up with our compliance manager to get those questions answered and anything else. So it should be a very informative session. Any other comments or questions before I let you go?
Yes, Robert.
Yeah.
I've looked at my KW app. Now, you just said the update just is happening because my Android is still at 6.3.5. So I just
So what happens with Android and Apple rollouts? So they're two different companies, right? And we post them at the same time. Keller Williams Realty International posts them at the same time. It appears as though Apple moves through that timeline a little faster to get it out to the public, and then Android's not that far behind. They're a day or two behind, okay. And then so keep checking next day or two. It will likely drop. And at least what I've been told on some of the regional calls was I believe that they're synced up now. So what you could do in the Play Store is look at the app history of what's been going on with the app. And if it says less than 24 hours ago and you're 6.3.5, then maybe what I told you was incorrect and they haven't quite synced up yet. But they're telling me that Android and Apple should have the same version number now to make it easier for us.
Okay, well, that's good now.
Ronnie, too, just go back in like Robert mentioned, because for me, I had to go back. I had to get out of the app and actually go to the app store, and the app store said update. So then I clicked update, and then it updated my app.
Okay, well, see, this is knowledge for everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing. You've helped educate everybody else. Awesome.
Yep,
Thanks,
Well,
everybody. Have a
Thank you
great day.
guys.
We'll
Have
see
a
you
great day.
Thursday.
We'll see you later.
Thank you.